From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning here on Mornings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we got to the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks of all types are coming to the American people. But they are not doing it on the timeline they originally represented. I'll explain what's happening in this morning's broadcast. Then we cut to the voting process and why Schumer, Pelosi, Biden, and Bernie promised this all to law by the August recess and absolutely did not deliver. I'll explain to you what's next and what's going for a vote right today. It's not the recon we thought it was. It's a different recon. I'll have all the breaking details in this big recording. Then we got to fifth stimulus, which heats up in just a few days. The razor benefits up for SSI and SSDI. What's been wanted for a generation, and it's finally now happening. Then we cut to the big money that viewers continue to get, and one viewer getting $50,000 from this channel. Now his neighbors are getting $20,000 as well. I'm going to show you all the great details because the toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here. Let's get to the deliciousness on Mornings LA. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Hope you are having a beautiful day. Boy, it has been beautifully cool here in Santa Monica. It feels like it's February. It's about mid to low 50s at night, only about 74 during the day. It's sweater weather. It's cold at night, like 3 blankets. It's just paradise. Hope you're having beautiful weather as well. Jump on the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check update 2021 this morning, Tuesday morning, we're going to go over that stimulus check and why the Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we cut to the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people for all different walks of life, including my seniors and my workers. In the third part of this video, we'll go into the voting process and why Leader Schumer, Pelosi, Bernie did not deliver on their promise. They said they were going to have this as law, the recon as law by the August recess. So what is going to become a law by the August recess? I'll have all the details in the third part of this video. Then we got to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up a lifetime. This is that SSI and SSDI lift that everyone has been waiting for, and also my veterans, of course. And then finally, this, as one viewer gets $50,000 from this channel, I'm going to show you how you can get big sums of money. As countless other viewers are getting big sums of money, it's a big day, and it's a lot happening. And this, of course, is LALATE. Thank you for joining me. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the only financial channel of its kind in America. Live in the morning like right now, then taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Mornings Crypto. Right after this video, stay here. It starts in about 9:45 a.m. Then at 11 a.m. is Noontime LALATE live on air as well. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video. 3,000 likes. Don't forget to like the video and consider becoming a member. The chat is now open to non-members, so if you're not a member, please be respectful to other members in the membership room. And with that, let's get to the details of that stimulus check. Monthly, House versus Senate, Senate versus House, both monthly, just different payouts. Let's go over the details. House, pandemic plus 1 year. Senate, July to December. Let's go over the House amounts. House, $1,000 after the first month. Senate, unknown, but word on the street is the Senate would pay you this deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. The House bill has an interesting twist, which I need to mention, which is the House bill would start when it becomes law. So you wouldn't miss any checks with the House bill. Pandemic plus 1 year. Well, if you heard the news overnight, the U.S. military is recommending that all active service duty members be vaccinated, requiring vaccination across the board. And vaccination cards are now being considered as mandatory for entry into businesses across the country. That means that the House bill would pay more than just more than 1 year. It would pay pandemic plus 1 year, which would be more than 12 checks, which would amount to more than $13,000. Compare that to this. And the Senate? Haha. I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Jump on live chat and vote House of Senate. House of Senate, and tell me where you're tuning in from this beautiful morning, how the weather is. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent that if you got a third, you're getting a fourth. Single individual, 75,000 less. Democrats represent you get a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 less. Democrats represent you get a fourth stimulus check. Double it. If you're a family of four, Democrats represent you get a fourth stimulus check. And if you're on benefits, Democrats represent you get a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. And the fourth stimulus check would be the same amount for everyone across the board. And finally, the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. So if you are at the baseball game today and you're in the stadium and everyone starts to go up and does the wave, and then you're sitting next to the check and you're like, how come you didn't stand up? Oh, you're a Giants fan. You're not a Dodgers fan. No, it's not that the check is a Giants fan. It's just not a waivable check. So yeah, but it may also not be a Dodgers fan. And there you go. In the second half of this video, we'll be cutting to the exciting news about the recon. Done deal. $3.5 trillion. The Democrats have agreed in principle during 2 caucus meetings to a $3.5 trillion price tag. So what is next for them to do? What are they voting on today? I have all that coming up. Then the third and final part of this video, the final 15 minutes, stay to that, because suddenly the universe changed yesterday, because Leader Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie did not categorically 100% did not deliver on their promise to the American people. They said the total recall was going to become a law by the August recess. They did not deliver whatsoever. That is one of the many things they did not deliver on. So what are they getting done by the August recess for the recon? I'll explain it in the final 15 minutes of this video. But first, we also going to heat up with some fifth stimulus as well, because that's just a few days away. But first, let's get some money, because money is money. And get a pen and paper ready, because I'm going to get you some rent, some utilities, some food, some internet. And I want you to get this big money across the board. A couple of weeks ago, I said for rent, I could get you 4 to 6 months of rent, about $5,000. Oh, I was wrong. I can't get you $5,000. But I can get you $27,000, as Elizabeth got $27,000 for rent as a purple hawk of this channel. Mark, as a member as well, got $25,000. Nancy, $24,000. Richard, $22,000. And Nisi, $20,000. The numbers keep on coming in. One viewer 2 days ago said she got $18,000 in the live chat for rent. Pamela got $12,000 for rent. Carla got multiple sums of money. Tiffany got $13,000 for rent and other sums of money. Randy, you got $6,000 for rent and other sums of money. Jennifer got $5,000 for rent and other sums of money. And Cecilia got multiple sums of money. When we talked about utilities, I said I can get you $300 for utilities. Guess what? Let's see how much I was able to get viewers. Bam. Wow. $7,000 for Nancy for utilities. Congratulations, Nancy. Mark, $6,500 for utilities. Angela, $5,000. What's utilities? That is gas, water, heating, oil, things like that. All right, and then we turn to SNAP. What is SNAP? SNAP is money for food. And I said I can get you $5,000 to $6,000 for SNAP. What happened? Bam. $18,000 for Louis. Congratulations. Just an incredible job. John, $10,000 for SNAP. And this is annualized. And Nancy, $5,000 for SNAP. Finally, people getting multiple sums of money. Are you ready for this one? Can I hear the drum roll? Can I hear the drum roll? Here you go. Multiple sum winners. Bam. Nancy, congratulations. $32,000 she got from this channel for rent, utilities, and SNAP. Nisi, $23,000 for 3 items. And Mark, $32,000 for 2 items. 2 items? Yes. So about a week ago, I recorded 7 days of shows on air addressing Mark. And I said, Mark, you got 2 items. Why did you not get the SNAP? Go get the SNAP. You're at $32,000. And I thought maybe he'd get up to maybe get 4 or 5,000 for SNAP. Maybe get to 35,000, 36,000. He heard my message. He went and got SNAP. And where do you think he landed? Do you think maybe he got to 40,000 total? Maybe he got $8,000 for SNAP? I mean, that's pretty big. How much do you think he got? He got $19,000 for SNAP, bringing Mark's grand total to $50,000. Congratulations, Mark. I am so proud of you. I'm proud of every single one of you, whether you got $10 or $50,000. And this is LA. This is what I do. We cash checks here, because checks are checks. We cash the biggest sums of checks we can. And that's what I started doing in April of last year when people's EIDL loans and grants were not coming. I started this channel not to track them, but to get them. And I handheld people through the application process, sometimes getting upwards of 10 EIDL loans personally approved on and off camera, day in, day out, in a single day. Some days 10 per day. I had 150,000 a pop. I got $25 million of EIDL loans approved, saving people's businesses, their homes, and their employees' homes. Then, if all second stimulus was not coming, there was no second stimulus check coming. Sort of like we're waiting for fourth stimulus right now. So I stepped up and I got viewers $250,000 of rent, just like how I'm getting people rent right now. Tyrone got $15,000 of rent, paid all his rent from December to February. And now we're doing it again. You're doing it again. The only difference is you're pouncing as a purple hawk. Hawk, hawk. The members that are in this live chat, that are in this community, are absolutely getting enormous sums of money. So if you just found this channel today and you just become a member, let's go over all the details of how you get this big money as well. Get a pen and paper ready right now. Today is your day to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and homeowners utilities. I'm going to show you different places to reach out to. Each has their own eligibility. They have their own pot of money. If one says no, reach out to the next. Keep on applying it, all 6. If you go to 6 no's, reach out to the volunteers. Moreover, I may be also bringing back into the mix Purple, which goes over the nonprofits if you get 6 no's. But 6 no's is very, very rare. So of those 6, you're going to get a yes likely. Are you ready? You're going to reach out to the following 6. Your city hall, your city housing authority. Your county hall, your county housing authority. Your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage assistance because of COVID, or utility assistance because of COVID. And there you go. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus, or recon into law by the August recess. Yeah, we knew that, and that's what we were told. But yeah, more about that coming up in a second. Can we top that? Yes. If you got in rent, and boy, congratulations to Tim and Linda who got money for rent. If you got in rent or utilities, post in the live chat right now. Let's turn to some Snap. Snap is incredible. What is Snap? Snap is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. How much to pay? A fortune. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom. Gail got it. Louie got $18,000. John got $10,000 to $12,000. Mark got $19,000. Where do you get it? From Department of Agriculture. Eligibility is easier than a stimulus check, so why would you not get it? How much does it pay? A family of 4 out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year, so go get it. And there you go. Why so much? Because of 2 executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15%. And if you got in Snap, post in the live chat right now, and we are only 12 minutes in this video, we're flying. We are flying. We have gotten $27,000 for rent. We've gotten $9,000 for utilities, $19,000 for Snap, and we're just getting started. It's time for some money coming back from your state. And boy, where is this landing? This is landing by direct deposit. And what is it for? Overpayment of unemployment due to computer error. Not your computer. How do you track it? Contact your state and say, hey, state, where's that check due to overpayment of computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works? And when you do, can you turn it on and plug in the keyboard and turn on the screen? Yeah, it just sort of helps. And there you go. The last refund check is the one coming back from IRS for that 2020 return that you pay taxes on. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it, and boy, where is that landing? It's landing this month. And IRS says it's a waivable check. Sorry, bitch, it's a waivable check. The latest waves have been about $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 for Mark. Every wave is another week, and every wave has a direct deposit and a mail check each week. But first, here's a personal message before we continue with that. This channel is about me helping you get money and you helping others. So if you're on the live chat and you've not posted your rent, utilities, your Snap, please do, because when you do, you help other people of the Purple Power Hawk community 3 different ways. Number 1, when you post your success story, you inspire other people. Even if it's $100 you got, you inspire people, because then they realize, wait a second, I have some water bills I need help paying. I have an electric bill I'm having problems paying. You inspire people to get these big sums of money. Number 2, Art Sullivan got 3 items. Nisi got 3 items, and they inspired Nancy to get 3 items. Then I talked about Mark only getting 2 items, and I addressed Mark on camera. I said, go get the third. He went and got the third. You inspire people to get 3 items and not settle with just 1. And then finally, we see the big updates in the numbers and realize there's a lot more money in there than we initially thought. And there you go. Let's get back to those unemployment benefits. Where's it landing? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. What month? This month. How much? Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you get back $4,000. And can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov, do a transcript search, and it'll reveal the taxes you paid and the taxes you filed. Taxes in your file about 70% of the time. And the rest of the time, it'll also reveal some things that you don't want to know. Like when Ron Portman was on Dancing with the Stars, did he dance with himself? Because, I mean, really, who's the star when Ron Portman's in the room? And then can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021, starting right now. Done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people in the fourth stimulus recon. What is the recon? The recon is just checks. If you've been with this channel on second stimulus, on third stimulus, and now the fourth stimulus recon, this is the biggest we've ever seen. The other thing that's different is that this time, the recon is not eaten up for money to corporations. The first and second and third stimulus recons, much of nearly 80% of the money did not go to the American people. It went to U.S. corporations. This time, nearly no money goes to corporations and almost all to you. Imagine how much money there is in there for you. There is money for checks for seniors and checks for workers, checks of all different kinds. $3.5 trillion. And how do we get to this spot? By Bernie Sanders fighting for the biggest payout he's seen in a generation, and that's why he's ecstatic about it. Now, initially, the recon had roads and bridges in it with it, making it too big. So what did the Democrats do? They took the roads and bridges out and put it into something called the bipartisan, which effectively has passed the Senate now. But now the recon, your money, is passable. So what's the confirmation? It comes from a conservative publication just days ago that says the higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder was to pass. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from their recon and put it into the bipartisan roads and bridges, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. There you go. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable, but the recon also made the bipartisan passable. How did they do this? Well, once the Democrats shrunk the recon by taking roads and bridges out, they blew it up to a big price number, $3.5 trillion. And while the Democratic senators love the $3.5 trillion, you're going to see later in this video, they can still raise the number up higher. That's coming up in a second. The Democratic progressives wanted a big number, and they got it. And that's what Representative Richie Torres says. I refuse to have a smaller recon. I have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, $3.5 trillion. And Representative Elon Omar says we have to have a larger recon that goes as far as we want it. We got it, Elon, $3.5 trillion. And the progressives wanted a big enough recon. They met with the White House daily to ensure the recon goes big enough. How do they do this? Well, the president had told the progressives, protect my recon, because everything in there is progressive checks. Brian Schatz and Jalapal confirms that confirmation, that the White House told them, quote, the White House considers the progressive priorities and the recon its priorities. So what is a recon? What is a bipartisan? For the first time on Mornings LA, I'm going to separate out something clear for you now that Leader Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders have not delivered on their promise. What was their promise? Their promise was that the recon would become a law by the August recess. Earlier, they said it was going to become law by July 4th. Then they said the recon would become law by the August recess. Now, as you and I sit here, when we hear that, we think that to mean the whole recon, don't you? No one said just part of the recon. If you wanted to mean part of the recon, Chuck, you should have said part of the recon. Well, he didn't say part of the recon. He said the whole recon was going to become law by the August recess. So what is the difference between one part of a recon and another part of a recon? Well, let me go over all the details. There's a procedural recon and there's a substantive recon. And the procedural recon is the following: price tag, and then how much money is going to be given to different subcommittees. And that's it. So, for example, number one, actually 3 questions. 1, do you agree to do a recon? Yes. Do you agree to a price tag for the recon? Yes. $3.5 trillion. and how much money is to be delegated to committees, not to items or people or persons or things, to committees. We agreed to $135 million to the Committee on Nutrition. Done. Law. That's what Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders are now delivering by the August recess, not what they promised. They promised the whole recon would be done by the August recess, not just the procedural recon. So what's the substantive recon? The substantive recon is that once what I described to you is law, then each of those subcommittees with their money goes back and decides how to spend it. For example, this Committee on Agriculture, once it becomes law, the procedural recon for $135 billion to the Committee of Agriculture, then they go back and decide how to spend it. At the moment, no determination as to how to spend anything. It's called non-binding recon, procedural recon. They just give money to subcommittees. They never say what the items are for because that's not determined yet. In September, they come back and write up those subcommittees what they want to spend the money on and give those items and give them up to Chuck and Nancy and then call that for a vote. But that's not what they promised us. In fact, they said that the recon had been written up in the House subcommittees over the last few weeks. Have you seen the writing? I haven't seen the writing. Have they debuted the writing? I haven't seen them debut the writing. They are not delivering as fast as or what they said they're going to deliver on. And so now let's go through the details of recon versus bipartisan. So recon versus bipartisan, two different sets of words. Recon refers to your money. Bipartisan refers to not your money. And broadcast media, unfortunately, is really doing a bad job on reporting on this, even though Chuck and Nancy are moving the goalposts daily. So recon, I want you to understand better than the broadcast media is reporting it. Recon refers to reconciliation. It also refers to the budget bill. $3.5 trillion is the price tag. Bipartisan refers to the roads and bridges, also infrastructure. Price tag on that, $1.5 trillion. People quote an article about that, Kristen Sinema, Ron Portman, and Mitt Romney. Okay, pretty easy. So who writes the recon substantive? We are always told it had already been written by now. Unbeknownst to any of us, they weren't telling us the truth. It has not been written. The subcommittees of the House are the ones that are going to write it. The subcommittees of the House are dedicated under the Constitution to different subject matters. For example, House Ways and Means is responsible for writing stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. And in September, not what they told us. They said they had been writing it from January to July. In September, they're going to be writing it. Whoa, that is not what you've been representing to us. But in September, those subcommittees are going to write it. Then those subcommittees combine the pages they wrote and send them up to Chuck Schumer. So let's say it's 10 subcommittees and 10 pages and they sign them up to Chuck. Then he puts a big S on it. I want to put a big S on it. You know what I want to put the big S on it for? Not for Schumer, for slow. Because, boy, you've had 5 months to write something, you wrote nothing? I mean, that's not slow, that's pathetic. So they put a big S on it for slow. No, for Senate. And that's when you see the Senate bill in September. We don't have the bill yet. And and that is the recon. Now, how did we get to the spot? From Jalapal, who recently wrote Schumer a letter saying, Chuck, call the vote on the recon. But when she wrote that letter, I think she sort of meant call the vote on the whole recon, not just call the vote on the recon procedural. That letter was signed by 10 House Democrats who are part of the 100 plus who recently wrote the president a letter saying we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks in the forced stimulus package. Purple Power, you got to push and keep these people their promise. They're promising you monthly stimulus checks. Can we top that? Yes. As 7 members of the House Ways and Means Subcommittee, which we were told were already writing the recon, but apparently have not started writing, said that when they write the recon, which I guess they haven't started writing in 4 months, they will be putting monthly forced stimulus checks in there. Purple Power, you got to push and ensure these people put the money in there when they write it in the next few weeks. And can we top that? Yes. As the president did it, he went overseas about 7 weeks ago to have a ceremonial signature, but the actual signature happened a few days ago. It's for something that would go into the recon substantive. Now it doesn't have to go in there, making recon substantive easier to write when they write it. It is the global minimum corporate tax rate. Now it makes it easier to call the vote on the recon, easier to vote on the recon, easier to vote for the recon, and easier to pass the recon because this confusing thing is not in there. Can we top that? Yes. As we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, I will be breaking down the voting process because suddenly the voting process is totally different now, 24 hours from what was represented from Chuck Schumer about recon procedural versus recon substantive. And if you think that's the only thing that Chuck Schumer has moved the goalposts on in the last 24 hours, get ready, because he's moved the goalposts on something else. Yeah, there's just a few goalposts moving. And in football, there's only 2 goalposts. With Chuck Schumer, he's just moving every goalpost he can find. And I'm going to go over what else is changing this afternoon. Boy, it's coming up in the second half of this video. Then we cut to fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up lifetime. This is in September. But first, if you have problems getting that rent utilities, one group of people that's very dependable upon is the volunteers. Reach out to them if you had problems finding that rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. If you can't find it, reach out to them. They are salt of the earth. They are viewers just like you. How do you find them? Open the description. Go down to the description and find the link to the community page. It's news.lalate.com/community. On there, you'll find the volunteers. They're separated from Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as the final 15 minutes heat up on this morning's LA. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues on this big morning to LA live from Santa Monica. The toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here. And boy, in the final 15 minutes of this video, we're going to play some football. And the goalpost is going to move on us every 10 seconds with Chuck Schumer. It's just, I think he's Javita Late reincarnated, isn't he? But first, that kind of also the fifth stimulus. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Thank you for all the lovely comments in the chat right now. Just a very nice group of people in the live chat. Like the video, 2,000 to 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Thank you for nearly 200 new members joining this channel daily, and it's really making a big difference because people are getting these big sums of money for rent and utilities. More about that in a second. But first, let's cut to someone else that didn't deliver on something. The president, during his campaign run for the highest office in the land, the president promised that he was going to raise your benefits up for SSI and SSDI. He didn't. Then during the transition papers, he said he was going to do it again. He didn't. So guess what? The Democratic House members and senators are taking care of this for you in just a few days from now as fifth stimulus heats up. Fifth stimulus starts in September and starts legislating in September, raising up your benefits for SSI, SSDI, and VA more. This, they represent, would go to a vote by November, and they represent would hit your bank account by November, then applying the benchmark in December for next year. Let's go over how this calculates out. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll remove the asset limit, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the income solution, and remove the marriage penalty. All right, let's go over how this calculates. First, your benefits will step up. Lifetime. Who's you? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, or multiple beneficiaries. Next, they'll apply a benchmark. When? In December. What's the benchmark? It is inflation. Where's it going? It's going to be transitory, says Jay Powell, head of Federal Reserve. What does transitory mean? It's a fancy word to mean a temporary spike. When? In December. Yes, right when they apply your benchmark. Perfect timing. And how high is it going to go? On afternoons LALATE on the week, I spent about 3 minutes explaining why I think it's going to be about 5%. Let's just use that number for the moment being. First, they'll raise your benefits up. Then they'll apply the benchmark. Let's say it's 5%. Then your benefits will step up another 5%, not just next year, but a lifetime. Because once your benefits step up, they never step down. If the inflation rate is 2% the year after that, you'll be at plus 5, plus 2%. After that, they're going to remove the asset cap, dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand and stay on benefits. Now you'll be able to have some muddled. Did you call this muddled? No, this is not muddled. This is not Casey Royal. Sorry, Canute. This is just blue, and it's not teal either, in your hand. Then they're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away, and you'll be able to do a pair dance at your own wedding like Rob and Sandy. You'll no longer fear the loss of benefits. If your benefits were lost, they'll be restored. Meantime, will there be a fifth stimulus check? The House Ways and Means Subcommittee represents there will be one under the fifth stimulus package. That's coming up later this year. And then finally, if you're in the live chat and you know some people are Purple Hawks and you're not, what are you doing? Here's what's important to know is that when this channel launched in spring of last year, second stimulus was already a topic of discussion. I wasn't covering second stimulus at the time. But I saw people depended upon the arrival in May of a second stimulus check, which of course never came in May. And they put their entire life financial burdens depended upon what day a check came in the month of May, which never came. In fact, it never came till January of next year at $600. I said, you can't do that. I said, you can't do that. The packages that the federal government is passing has fortunes of money in there for you to get. So I said in fall of last year when I started covering this subject matter, do not focus on a $600 second stimulus check, because once it comes, you're going to spend it and it's going to be gone in a few days. Focus on the other sums of money that are available in the second stimulus package, and I'll be able to get you $6,000. I got viewers like Tyrone, $14,000. Then in third stimulus, this January, I launched the Purple Hawks. Hawk, hawk, to describe people who pounce and get the big sums of money in these packages at that time, third stimulus package. Because it's not just a $1,400 stimulus check. I told the Hawks, do not be focused on the $1,400 stimulus check, because it's going to come, you're going to spend it, and then you're going to wonder where the next check is. I said, rather get the big other sums of money that virtually every viewer of this channel qualifies for under third stimulus. And that's how people then focused on getting $14,000 at the time. And instead of $14,000, they're getting $32,000. $50,000. That's how giving yourself financial freedom is about. Here's what's important to know is that in a given stimulus package, you have a series of items paid for you by the federal government. At home, you may have about 10 different bills: rent, utilities, food, internet, heating oil. And then you may have the roof, the car, and the kids' shoes. Well, the federal government most of the time will not pay for the roof, not pay for the car, and not pay for the kids' shoes. But they'll pay for those other items I just went over. And if they pay for those other items, that could be upwards of $20,000, $30,000, $15,000, $10,000, $12,000. If the federal government relieves your burden financially for those other items by paying it for you, then you don't have to spend $12,000 on those other items because the federal government is paying the money for it. And that alleviates your financial burden, so then you have the money to fix the car, fix the roof, and get those shoes for the kids. And that's what being a Purple Hawk is about. So consider becoming a member so you have financial independence and get the big sums of money that are in these stimulus packages. And with that, let's cut to fourth stimulus and the big final 15 minutes starting right now. Deal done. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under the fourth stimulus recon. The Democratic coalition of the Senate has met twice over the last 2 weeks to agree upon the price tag. Senator Tim Kaine, who was the VP running mate with Hillary, said that once they agreed upon the recon price tag, it's effectively done. Well, that's what he said. And we went with that. And as to timeline, it's not effectively done yet. So what's going on? Here's what you need to know is that there is a recon procedural and a recon substantive. Recon procedural is the following. Do you agree to do a recon? Yes. Do you agree to a price tag of recon? Yes. What price tag? 3.5. Do you agree upon how to split the money amongst committees? Yes. We agree that the nutrition committee will get 135 billion. Done. That's all that recon procedural is. What is recon substantive? After recon procedural becomes law, then this committee on nutrition, which just got $135 billion, writes up 20, 30 pages about how they're going to spend the $135 billion, where they're going to spend it, who they're going to spend it on, what type of terms, what type of limits, all those type of details. That's in September. That's not what they said they were doing for us. Now let's cut over to the items that are in the recon. Here's what you need to know is that recon procedural doesn't have items in it. It just has the total price tag and how they're splitting it among subcommittees. So if you see someone in the chat that says something like, I've seen the bill and there's no stimulus check in it, well, they absolutely don't know anything about what they're talking about because there is no bill about the substance yet. We haven't done recon substance yet. Substantive. We're doing recon procedural, which is simply the price tag and what committees get. In the documentation that they received this week, the senators have recommendations about what they could possibly use the money for in those subcommittees, but that is called non-binding, meaning they're not bound to spend the nutrition on, for example, 18-year-olds to 24-year-olds, a lunch a day. They're not obligated to spend the money on those items. It's called non-binding recon procedural. Okay, so let's cut over to the infrastructure and come back to the recon in a second. So the infrastructure is effectively law now. Excuse me, oh my goodness, effectively passed by the Senate now. Next stop is the House. So the question is then, when looking at Nancy, Chuck, the president, and Jalapal's comments, what were they really referring to? Nancy has always said that if you send her the roads and bridges to the House first, before the recon, she's throwing in the wastebasket. Well, obviously, I'm going to ask, and that's what I'm saying on air, does Nancy mean send her the roads and bridges before the whole recon or before the recon procedural? Because the recon procedural is not anything. It's just the box. It doesn't have the contents of the box. We have to presume Nancy means the whole recon to the House, not just the recon procedural, because that's just the box. It doesn't even have anything. It doesn't have the contents in it. The president has said the following. We have to presume that's what they mean. The president has said the following that has your back, that he's not going to sign the roads and bridges unless the recon lands on his desk as well. That's easier to understand because nothing lands on his desk unless it's passed in both procedural and substantive. He says the recon, the bipartisan. If only the bipartisan comes to me and that's the only thing coming to me, I'm not signing it. Good, great. And then he also says, I'm not signing the bipartisan unless I also get the recon. Good, great. So what does Nancy say about making sure the recon lands in the House? She just says recon in totality terms. She doesn't say if only the recon procedural lands. So, I mean, that would be the misquote of a century if she really meant only recon procedural, which I don't think that's what she meant. She said, as I said, that there won't be a bipartisan unless we have a recon bill passed as well. Plain and simple. In fact, I use the word ain't. There ain't going to be a bipartisan unless we have the recon bill passed by the United States Senate. Well, that has to mean the whole recon, not the recon procedural, because that wouldn't make any sense. All right, now let's cut back to timeline and think how things are doing. This is where Chuck, Nancy, Bernie did not deliver on what they said. So clearly they had said the whole recon would become law by the August recess. Now they're saying only the recon procedural become by the August recess. So what is voted on when? This week, they're voting on the recon procedural, which again is just the price tag and how much our subcommittee is going to get. That's it. Then in September, they come back and then they write up how much each of those subcommittees, what those subcommittees are going to spend the money on. As I said, $135 billion to nutrition committee. How are you going to spend it? We're going to spend it on this over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and this type of that. And then they call that for a vote, and they vote on that. That's called the recon substantive. And that's when we see the details of everything that they put in there. All right, now let's cut back to the next moving goalpost, as if there was enough moving goalposts moving. So Chuck had told us as well that as soon as the Roads and Bridges passes in the Senate, which it effectively has now, then immediately thereafter, the recon vote-a-rama will start. Guess what? He changed this one as well. Yeah, so Chuck moved this goalpost as well. What is he doing then? He says we're having a normal voting on the recon procedural now, and then we'll have the vote-a-rama on the recon procedural shortly thereafter. Shortly thereafter? What is shortly thereafter? Well, presumably maybe it's in a day or two. Let's see how shortly thereafter is. But he had said the recon vote-a-rama would start immediately, and now he's putting a voting of a non-vote-a-rama before the vote-a-rama. Interesting. Then when that is done, it goes over to Nancy in the House. What can the House modify for the recon procedural? This is all new stuff you're hearing for the first time on Mornings LA. The House members can modify whatever's in there. So they can modify the total number. They look at the 3.5 trillion and they say, no, I think it should be 3.9, or I think it should be 4.1. They can modify that number up. They can also modify the disbursement of the money between the committees. So if they look at it and they say, yeah, I want nutrition to get some money, but he didn't get enough. Nutrition got 135 billion. I wanted to have 145 billion. So I want to take 10 billion away from the Committee on Urban Affairs and put it into that. That's what they can do. And then if they make those changes, then it goes back to the House, back to the Senate. And there you go. A lot of big changing, developing details across the board. Finally, a personal message. And sometimes personal messages come up in the strangest places and the strangest times. And this is a personal message right now from me to you. Yesterday, at about the middle of the day, the news broke that they were doing basically this recon procedural, not recon substantive. And what I valued at that time was very important for you as a viewer and as a Purple Hawk was for you to get that information as quickly, as concise, and as detailed as possible. And for that reason, I put the chats, the live chats, into member-only mode, because I did not want people who are not members, who are not subscribers, or just sort of trolling around, jumping in, and saying something totally incorrect to confuse you before you know what's happening. Now that about a half a day has passed, and I've been running really how Chuck and Nancy have now moved the goalposts, that they're doing recon procedural and recon substantive, now you're up to date. And that is why I reopened the chats to both non-members and members. And it's times like this that I really value that non-members are in the live chat. From Tom Jones. Tom Jones said earlier in this chat today, family, referring to Purple Power family, the viewers of this channel, families, please pray for my newly born grandson, Austin, has been in the hospital since being born, lung collapse and not wanting to eat on a feeding tube. Thank you. And something like that from Tom Jones, who's not a member, would not have happened in the live chat if this chat was only a members-only chat. And that's why I really love having non-members in the chat. So please do two things for me. One, send your wishes and prayers for Tom Jones's family and for his grandson, Austin, with an E, Austen. Number two, now that you know what is going on with the recon, now that you know that one, they're doing recon procedural, then recon substantive. Now you know, two, that there is no bill that says you don't get a stimulus check, nothing, no bill that doesn't say you don't get MSC. All that nonsense, which you knew I was blocking out because I expected all that nonsense to come in the chat. Now you know that's not the correct information. Now you know that what the exact situation is, do me a favor, that once the chat is now open to non-members, that if a member perhaps jumps in the live chat and is not up to date and doesn't know what's going on, and you suddenly see a troll come in there and say, I told you you're not getting a stimulus check, just hit that report the person, and tag me and tell me to block the person. And also just, just tell the person you're wrong. You're wrong, get out of here. If you want to shovel your wrong information, get out of here. Because it's days like this where the news cycle changes so dramatically. I wanted to ensure that you got the correct information where we are, so that people with wrong information will not litter the chat so you can't hear from me what's happening. And of course, keep Austin and their family in your prayers. And with that, join me next on Mornings Crypto, live on air. It's coming up right after this video, about 3 minutes right after that. And then we go right into noontime at 11 a.m. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers of YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 3,000 likes. Don't forget to like. And also consider becoming a member so you get access to all this big money and get financial freedom across the board. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful morning. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. And next is the crypto with the cryptoid. I don't know, that sounds pretty good. And stay with Ally for more.